A common council meeting. Agenda's been posted and media's been notified. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt.
Here.
Stephen Jopek.
Here.
Luke Kramer.
Here.
Carrie Michalowski.
Here.
Gerald Anderson.
Here.
Thomas Barnett.
Here.
Bob Luter.
Here.
Leanne Felton.
Here.
Chris Hannes.
Here. We do have quorum. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to number 4, which is public comment. I have Jerry Fitzgerald.
Okay, a quick word on agenda item 15A, even though it's not up for discussion at the last Plan Commission meeting. I did give the members a packet of points and materials to consider as they start the workshop process for short-term rentals. Moving on to item 13J, my wife and I, we stand opposed to renaming Eisenhower Parkway, but solidly endorse rededicating the West Side Park to honor the Roman family. The Parkway's present designation brings historical awareness to our past. Overwriting one piece of history with another effectively erases that first element from public exposure, awareness, and understanding. And I see no reason why the city cannot honor the legacies of both the Romans and the Eisenhowers. Through their local homegrown businesses and family-friendly events, the Romans certainly earned their respect, providing our community with entertainment, enjoyment, and, in general, happiness. A park is inherently a place to enjoy, a place for families and friends to connect and interact, a place to learn athletic competition and good sportsmanship, and a place that expands on what the Romans so selflessly gave us. Eisenhower Parkway, however, it's a 3/10 of a mile roadway with 6 adjoining non-residential parcels, 5 of which are not even owned by Rhinelander Enterprises. Now, through their successful businesses, which I'm sure we're all familiar, it was apparent in their generous contributions to events and activities, the Romans aimed to maintain a robust business environment throughout our community. Proprietors and managers, franchisees, and employees of Eisenhower establishments are also part of our business community, though. I just find it difficult to believe that Michael, George, or anyone within their operations or family would condone or be comfortable with imposing undue inconveniences, expenses, or potential disruptions on their fellow business community members and their patrons. For any business to have to change its address is no small undertaking. It'll affect their advertising, tax reporting, certifications, insurance, licensing, vendors, financial transactions, customer patient records, and a long list of other impacts, right down to replacing every last business card and sheet of letterhead. The Romans were certainly selfless, not selfish. Well-intended as the effort may be, honoring the legacy with a street of mostly corporate brands structured so vastly different than what they built and shared with us would fall short of the recognition they deserve. We feel that honoring their reputation with a park that provides all who use it, residents and guests alike, a tangible source of recreation and enjoyment is much more harmonized with the spirit of the Romans' many benefactions. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. I have Matt Campbell.
Good evening, Council. My name is Matt Campbell. I'm a resident over at 904 Messer Street, one of the residents that lives in the area of the Messer area reconstruction project, if I remember the name of it properly. I'm back, and I was asked again by many of the people sitting in the audience to represent our collective thoughts on the project now that we've had a chance to see in greater detail the plans as currently laid out. Thank you again to all of you who attended that meeting last Wednesday. It was very fruitful, I think. Essentially, we are in agreement, or those that asked me to speak, we are in agreement that we do approve of the utility work that is going to be done, the water, the wastewater, the stormwater, all of that. But as far as the streets and the reconstruction that will happen with that, we would prefer to have the streets put back exactly as they currently are, which was brought up at the meeting on Wednesday. And I think we had every hand go up when Patrick asked by a show of hands who would like the streets to be reconstructed as they are. So I think that's a pretty telling moment there. I'd also like to take this moment to personally extend an invitation to each of you to come walk the neighborhood with me. I know it well. I've lived there for several years. I also have studied these plans pretty well. So, and it has been surveyed, and there are now flags out in many of the areas. So I would love to be able to show you what it currently looks like if you haven't been over there lately, and perhaps what it would look like and what kind of areas might be affected should this project go as planned, currently planned. So I will extend an email out to each of you individually, so you'll have my email and you can respond there, and we can set up a time if you're interested. But I would love to spend that time. I'm pretty open. I work from home, so come take me up on that. I think it would be a good time for all of us to really see what the project looks like. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that subject. There are many individual concerns that each of us could share about our individual properties, but generally what I wanted to do is just kind of take this moment to just kind of generally say, hey, we like a lot of the utility work that you're going to be doing, but we suggest that you put it all back just how it is currently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry, one more thing. I do have additional signatures for the petition that actually I have a couple more things if you don't mind. A couple of signatures to submit from that petition that we submitted last week, including, we now have 100% of Lakeshore Drive's signatures. So I don't know if I can pass that to you, Stephen. Thank you. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, well, you know what, I'll save that for another time. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a Wendy.
Good evening. My name is Wendy Bouchain. I live at 903 Thayer Street. That's on the corner of Thayer and Rose Street. The purpose of my speaking to you tonight is I want to share my individual concerns, both my husband's and mine, regarding the Messer Street project. So a little background. Our home is between 70 and 80 years old. We have old growth maple trees both on Thayer and Rose Street. Maple, by the way, I found out is the state tree of Wisconsin. My backyard is fenced and landscaped with flowers and shrubs that are based on the amount of sun and shade the property receives daily and seasonal. So before I did anything in the garden, I waited a year to see the effects of shade versus sun and what to plant where. So my husband and I have spent a great deal of money landscaping. According to the plat map of my property, I just looked today, my house, fence, and driveway are technically on city property unless it's been reevaluated. Okay, this means that if we went ahead with the project as originally stated, I would lose my fence, part of my backyard, all of my trees on the side of Rose Street, and I would lose a driveway. And what was brought up back on Wednesday, losing my driveway would mean that I would have no parking in the wintertime for our truck. Against popular belief, my garage is clean and I have 2 cars parked in it. So it's not a matter of me cleaning out my garage in order to fit a car in there. Okay. I also consulted my niece, who's a real estate agent here in Rhinelander, and she said that while sewer updates, sidewalks, and paved streets are all plus things for a property value, loss of a great deal of property would not be good for the property value of my home. The neighborhood aspects, if you were to come to visit us in our neighborhood, you would see a quiet, stately neighborhood with large trees shading property. You would see not very many people out and about. If you come at a certain time, you'll see me walking my dog between 4 and 5 times a day. And I'm usually the only person out there walking. I mean, very few people are out. So it makes the issue of sidewalks rather suspect because it's really not going to mean much to anybody out there. Let's see. Okay. I said that. All right. A neighbor that couldn't be here tonight requested that I ask you to, that you would be very welcome to come and visit our neighborhood and experience for yourself all the charm of it. And I have one final thought for you that you should consider. And I looked at this came from the Arbor Society. The felling of a tree should be carefully considered. Carbon dioxide absorption and oxygen production, one tree absorbs approximately 22 kilograms of CO2 a year and produces enough oxygen for 2 people. Soil stabilization. Trees and tree roots provide soil stabilization for the surrounding area. Climate regulation. Trees reflect and absorb solar radiation. One tree is approximately equal to 10 air conditioners. And just on a side for that, today is one of the few days I've had to run my air conditioner this year because my trees provide enough shade that I'm able to keep it cool. Trees also help with cloud formation, soil fertility, nutrient cycling, air purification, habitat, sound and visual protection. I love it when my trees are leafed out in the spring and summer because it helps to protect us from, everybody being able to see us and keep some of the noise down of the boat trailers that go down Rose Street. And economic benefits. It increases the property values. Health, reduces stress, and improves mental health. So I just thought that might be something you'd like to consider, the value of our trees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a Rochelle.
Hello, Rochelle Felden, 1004 Messer Street. I have spoken before, but I will continue to speak because a lot of my neighborhood, and I'm regarding the Messer Street project, I'm the corner of Messer and Fremont on the park side going towards the beach. A lot of my neighborhood are very elderly, budget income, in hospice, very unable to even take care of the snow removal in the winter for just the driveway. They have been, I'm starting that wrong, I'm sorry. I have been fortunate to be able to help out them during the winter. My husband has been disabled in the last 5 years, so now I have the burden of everything, and adding sidewalks to that would increase my burden greatly. I won't go into it more, but it's just going to be a lot more that I will be doing. Also, I know we were talking about if the sidewalks did go down to the street, we'd have to plow it for the plow. But in the winter, when the plows come down, they actually stay really far away from the curb. And so we're generally down to a 1 lane anyways by the middle of the heavy season. And the elderly are on a fixed budget, and for them to hire out is just probably going to be, with inflation for everything else, that's just going to be very hard for them. On my own front, I have 2 new 30-foot driveways that are new in the last 3 to 5 years, and boy, if I'll be really sad to have them touched. So there's a lot of money that we stuck into that because we continually update our house to beautify the neighborhood. Everybody that comes to our house is always commenting on what a beautiful area we have and what a great location our house is, as we are right in front of where the fireworks are, everything, just having the park, the ball games, and they just, in general, love the feel of our neighborhood. I have been, since our last couple meetings, I've been very attentive to the walking traffic, biking traffic, and little things that I've noticed is people actually coming from like Mason Street down Fremont to go to the park. They're actually not even using the sidewalks on that part of theirs, or Fremont Street. They're still on the road. Just something I noticed. And then I even saw a guy in one of those electric scooters on the road. He said the sidewalks are too hard for him. Also, and I know I said this at Wednesday's meeting, people walk in our area, in our neighborhood, to walk the park, because the park is 1 mile exactly. If we just loop it and connect it with sidewalks as was proposed, you know, you will see a lot less road traffic for pedestrians. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a Brian.
Good evening. It's good to hear we're all on the same page here. It's good to hear that the item on the agenda tonight for the proposed Roman rename of Eisenhower Parkway is something which has taken a life of its own.
Brian, please state your name and address.
My apologies. Brian Bennett, 826 South Keenan. And there is a movement. I'm happy the gentleman was here tonight to talk about the potential of renaming a park or something else that would honor the Roman family's 100 years. This idea, he is correct. This isn't some selfish thing that the Roman family came up with on their own. They did not know about our group's intentions until the day of George's wake at the theater. And I spoke with the family briefly, and they agreed that they would be fine with just that. I'm a little concerned with the notion that we're somehow rewriting history. I don't think Dwight David Eisenhower is going to be forgotten because a city in Rhinelander renamed 2,000 feet of street. I think the Eisenhower interstate system, the $50, a dozen high schools all over the country, I think he's okay with that. And I've reached out to the Eisenhower family, as I've told you in the past, and David Eisenhower, a professor out in Pennsylvania, agrees with this and also indicates that he has no objection to this and that Ike will certainly be remembered regardless of what Rhinelander does with a 2,000-foot stretch of road. As for the businesses on that road, there are 6 of them. And of the 6, 1 is owned by Jacob Shillman, a Rhinelander resident. No, the other one is Walgreens, which is owned by CT Corporate Systems of Madison. Starbucks is owned by Corporate Service Company, as their registered agent, in Madison. Quick Trip out of La Crosse. Pizza Ranch out of Waterloo, Wisconsin. And Taco Bell is out of, they just show the registered agent as being CT Systems down in Madison. So we're not really disrupting a great deal of things here. If I had to pick between changing my street address at home or the street address at my office, I'd take my office every day of the week. That's not a real big problem for me. My house, that's a problem. So I don't think we really have an issue here with forgetting Eisenhower. I don't think we have an issue here with making businesses uncomfortable in some sort of way, they'll adapt, they'll figure it out. I doubt they're going to move. And curiously enough, this isn't the first time this came up. Poking around the city's website for prior agendas, in Valentine's Day, 1972, the Planning Commission made a recommendation to rename Coon Street to Eisenhower Lane. Request was from Precision Twist Drill Company. I think I can understand why they might want to have their corporate street name changed. It's, we know who Eugene L. Kuhn is. We honor Gene Kuhn with that name. But in 1972, it was a somewhat different proposition. It didn't go very far. City attorney looked into it. There was a motion, and then by May of 72, it was very quietly dropped. So there's been movements in the past regarding the Eisenhower name in this town, and I don't think that it's something that they considered back in 1972 to be an erasure of Dwight Eisenhower to not name Coon Street in his honor. So this is something which is, has been done in the past. Eisenhower Parkway itself, when it kind of blended in with County C and became Eisenhower Parkway back in 2002, it was just simply named that because, well, we have a number of other streets in the area named for presidents, specifically Lincoln Street. So there wasn't a big hullabaloo any other time regarding this issue, and I don't think there needs to be one right now. The reasoning for Eisenhower Parkway really is that it abuts the old Roman drive-in. It has geographic significance. I understand the geographic significance of West Side Park, but on the other hand, West Side Park, while it was on a street that the Romans lived on for many years, it did not abut the Roman drive-in, and it didn't connect with Lincoln Street, home of the current Roman theater. So I think some good points have been made here relative to the name change. However, we're not really in a situation here where anyone's going to be denied, where anyone's going to walk away from this feeling bad, because I think eventually we will do the right thing. But when we do the right thing, we got to keep in mind that it was 100 years of that family running that business here, and it goes on. It's not over with yet. It was difficult for them. Holidays, they worked. They worked through their kids' performances. They worked. And they brought entertainment to this town. They made a tough call for this town. This town should make a tough call for them. We shouldn't do something as simple as calling someplace a Roman Memorial Drive. Interstate 39 is the Korean War Memorial Drive. We all call it Interstate 39. Unless you happen to drive through Plover and see, oh, there's something there about the Korean War. Oh, that makes that other sign make sense. Yeah, it's Interstate 39, or US 51 if you're of a certain age. So let's avoid doing something easy and expedient. Let's do something hard. And while we're at it, if we can make a guy at Google Maps have to take 10 minutes out of his day to help us honor the Roman family, let's do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Was there anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing any of the alders have any public comment? Nope. Okay. Move on to number 5, mayor's comments. I have none at this point. Number 6, administration report. Patrick?
Nothing beyond what was in the packet except for add to your dais. Well, actually a couple things. The first is these are the results of the survey that council directed on the Roman family, the renaming. Go over those when we get to it. Also at your dais too is a copy of the resolution for the annexation of the 3 parcels. Just there was a typo on there. Got it changed, so it was nothing substantial. It was just, it had PL 593-6, it was supposed to be PL 593.
Any questions or debate or conversation over his report? Not seeing. Move on to number 7, public hearing, none apply. Number 8, presentations, none apply. Number 9, proclamations, none apply for this meeting. Number 10, consent agenda. Only thing on the consent agenda is the meeting minutes from August 12th of the Common Council.
Holt, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the August 12th, 2024 City of Rhinelander Common Council regular meeting.
Jopek, second.
Motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 11, ordinances, none apply. Moving on to 12, unfinished business, none apply. Moving on to 13, new business. 13A, discuss and/or actions of mayor's veto with the settlement with Walmart. I turn this over to Steve, our attorney.
Yes, thank you. Each of you council members received a copy of the mayor's veto of the proposed settlement with the Lincoln Plaza Incorporated. I've also taken the opportunity to discuss with you the concept that, keep in mind that this motion or this action that's on the agenda for discussion is only as to the veto. It's not as to any of the terms or the conditions of any type of settlement agreement. It's whether or not, remember what you did do in open session was you gave permission to the attorneys that are representing the city to finish up the settlement negotiations. They would have had to come back to you with the final settlement in any circumstance. You voted to allow that to happen, and you established a certain dollar amount. But now the mayor has vetoed that action by you. You have basically two choices here. You can do nothing. You don't have to make any motions or do anything. If you don't do anything, the mayor's veto will stand. That means there's no action taken, there's no permission given to council to go ahead with the settlement. Obviously, they're going to continue to have discussions and come back to you eventually. That's if you do nothing. You can also make a motion to override the mayor's veto, which will take a majority of you in order to override the veto. And if you do override the veto, all that means is you go back to your original motion, which was to go ahead and allow them to negotiate at the price that they had established. And I tried to keep that succinct because we are not at liberty to discuss any of the negotiations or terms of negotiations. That's all part of the attorney-client privilege and is part of the negotiations that are ongoing as to where we're at. I presume that makes sense to everybody. If it doesn't, I can answer any other questions. And, I take no opinion one way or other. I just want to procedurally have us move forward correctly. So either someone can make a motion or we can simply go on to the next item on the agenda.
Mr. Jopek?
Outside of a motion, are we able to just suggest tabling for the next meeting to go to closed session to rediscuss before pushing forward, since we can't discuss the things, and I feel that the letter that was sent out, because of the attorney-client privilege, doesn't fully express where the council stood on our vote. I think a discussion still needs to be had in closed session then again to kind of like sort through this.
Okay, so
I guess that's my question to me.
Yeah, what you're suggesting is that you're okay with the veto and you want to bring back the whole concept of the settlement negotiations. That's what you're saying, is what I'm hearing you say.
As part of overriding a veto, though, there's a vote to override. And I feel that there needs to be discussion about that vote, like discussing the facts of the situation before we go to that vote, which we can't discuss openly because of the attorney-client privilege. So how do we go about discussing as a council?
Yeah, you're missing the context. You can either vote to override the veto, or you can do nothing and then the veto stays in place, which means the issue is still out there, which means that at the next session we could put it on the agenda for a closed session, because now we're going to have to go back to legal counsel and say the mayor vetoed that, what other terms can we talk about?
Okay, so,
If that's what your goal is,
yeah,
then you just let the veto stay in place.
with the idea that at the next meeting, we will be able to discuss it and, like, potentially override the veto or vote to do so.
Yeah, I can assure you that legal counsel that's representing us with the negotiations with Walmart is going to want to come back to us and talk to us.
But just as a point of clarification, the veto decision is a today decision, right?
Whether or not you override the veto is a decision for today. If you don't vote to override the veto, it stands. That means the action you took at the last meeting to let them go ahead at that number is gone. They're going to have to come back and get more permission from you. So they'll be back.
Okay, so, yeah. So I'm, like, I would like to discuss it further, so I think letting the veto stand for now so that we can discuss it at a future meeting is best. That's my stance.
Barnett, second.
Was that a motion?
He's saying,
Oh,
Mr. Holt?
Yeah, I would like to agree with Mr. Jopek here. I think that that letting it stand, letting the veto stand, so that we can put on the agenda for the next meeting and come back and discuss it in closed session where we can discuss it fully and thoroughly, is a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak? So I think I got to give it 3 seconds for a motion, and if not, then we can move on. So,
I don't see anybody that wants to make a motion, so I think you can move on, Mr. Mayor.
okay, so with that, moving on. Moving on to 11B, discuss and/or action, proposed resolution 2024-110. Refer to our city administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So at 130 North Brown Street, downtown here, the Dinky Diner is looking to reopen. Been talking with Jim Rosenberg from WDC and Rick Colvin, the owner, and interested in applying for a CDI grant for $250,000. Obviously, the city is just the administrator of that grant. That's all we do. And this is the exact same grant that Roadway Inn got. Basically, what this resolution does is it says, yes, go ahead and make application.
So the one other thing to keep in mind, the city's allowed one of these per year. So if this is the one you guys pick, this would be for this fiscal year, which I believe is a June 30th, July 1st, if I'm not mistaken, would be the one we would have for an application. So, Mr. Anderson? Oop, if you could turn your mic.
What are the other prospects that we're choosing then?
None.
Yeah, at
Haven't
this
had
point,
any other interest.
correct.
I move approval to submit an application for a CDI grant for redevelopment project at 130 North Brown Street.
Hold second.
Motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Kerry Michalowski.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 11C, discuss and/or action, proposed resolution 2024-111. Direct us to our city attorney.
No, that's yours.
Okay, that's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this is for this grant, as with the Roadway Inn project that we did, a developer's agreement is necessary. I had Steve write up a developer's agreement, and it's very similar to the Roadway Inn project. So this is something that's required for the grant.
Holt, I'll make a motion to accept proposed resolution 2024-111 approving, authorizing, and directing the mayor to sign a developer's agreement with the Dinky Diner LLC.
Luder, second.
Motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Kerry Michalowski.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 11D, discuss and/or action, proposed resolution 2024-112. Since our code enforcer left the city, we're just looking to replace the weed commissioner position with Fire Chief Brian Tonancor, who oversees that department.
Barnett, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-112, approving naming the Fire Chief Brian Tonancor as the city's weed commissioner.
Felton, second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Anderson?
I guess this assumes that when we do get a code enforcer, we should appoint him again. Is that?
In theory, I
We
believe
will
it's
have
a
to-
yearly appointment.
Yep.
So it could either run out the remainder of the year or when that person gets hired and onboarded.
Would there be anything wrong with making this one say Brian Tonancor or his designee, or do we have to go through the whole thing each time?
I didn't know if we could do that per per statute or.
Well, you have an interesting ordinance because it says you appoint the weed commissioner. But if you want to, there's nothing that would prohibit you from delegating your legislative power of appointment to another person. But if you do that, you should present the conditions under which you're doing that. In other words, the motion should be, whereas the fire chief is the code enforcement officer, whereas the current code enforcement officer is no longer there, we allow him to serve as weed commissioner until such time as we have a code enforcement officer who can then assume. In other words, either lay out the groundwork, which you're giving him permission to do. Don't just say, but he can appoint somebody else, because that will create problems in the future. So I'd rather see you either put stipulations on it so that we understood what you mean, or just appoint him now, and then if a new person comes along, appoint that person.
Okay, not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Bob Luter.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Oh, yeah. Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Carrie Michalowski.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye, congratulations.
The motion passes. Moving on to 11E, discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2024-113. This will be engineering test services for the skate park at Hodag Park. Referred to our city administrator.
Relatively self-explanatory. Obviously, this council had approved paying for the engineering for the skate park a while ago now. The designers need soil borings to see what kind of soil they have out there, what they're dealing with, so they can design a skate park that will last. Very necessary.
Barnett, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-113, approving the proposal from American Engineering Testing and Geotechnical Services at the proposed site of the skate park in Hodag Park for $5,225.
Michalowski, second.
Mr. Jopek?
I was just going to ask, this money, is this coming out of the money that was allocated, I think, I don't know, 2 years ago? It was like $75,000. Is this part of that?
Yes.
Okay. Just for curiosity's sake. Thank you.
Was there any discussion on the motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Bob Luter.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Carrie Michalowski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 11F. Discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2024-114. This is a pay app for Pelham Lift Street lift station upgrades. I believe Mark is here. Yep, there's Mark. So just based on the definition here, I think it's just paying for work that's been done for the Pelham Lift Street lift station.
Yeah, actually work hasn't started yet. This is for materials and bonds at this point.
Michalowski, I'll make a motion to approve proposed resolution 2024-114, approving the pay application number 2 from August Winter and Sons for work completed on the 2023 Pelham Street Lift Station project for $4,750.
Barnett, second.
Motion second. Mr. Jopek?
This is just kind of another curiosity question. Resolutions for purchasing material and stuff, should we still word that as work completed? Because that even here that kind of, we were under the impression that it was something that had been done already. Is that something that in the future, like, it doesn't need to change here, but is that something that should for the sake of historical record, or, I don't know.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm reading, that caught my attention too. The resolution says it's for work completed, and the work is to be completed. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct.
So you really should amend your motion so that it says approving the pay application for work to be completed, subject to it being completed and approved by the city engineer or something of that nature, because, yeah, otherwise it's incorrect.
I would like to amend my motion to say approving the proposal for pay application number 2 from August Winter and Sons for work to be completed on the 2023 Pelham Street Lift Station project for $4,750.
I will amend my second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the new motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes. 13G, discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2024-115. This will be using American Rescue funds for installing a flagpole at Hodag Park. Refer to our city administrator.
Thank you. So I had Parks Foreman Jeremy Biolo get a quote on a flagpole and the light and all the good stuff that goes with it. Jeremy got it. It's included in your packet. It came out to $3,500, somewhere in that range. The extra is for the cement and brickwork that's going to be done out there for Jeremy. But as soon as, if this is passed, we can get it ordered and get the project moving.
Barnett, I make a motion to approve resolution 2024-115, approving the purchase and installation of a flagpole at Hodag Park for $4,500, utilizing city ARPA funds.
Jopek, second.
Okay, Mr. Jopek?
2 questions. The first, is this incorporate funding for appropriate lighting for flags being flown at the park?
According to Jeremy, it does. It's got a light ring on the flag. If you look in the the quote.
Okay. And then the second question, and this is more broad, but do we have somebody, and probably it's just city employees, but that are aware of, like, in the event a flag is getting ripped up and torn and needs to be retired, are we regularly making sure that city flags are not ending up, ripped up and in bad shape? And being flown inappropriately.
Yeah, we do. We get to them as soon as we can. Okay. Sometimes, like the big flag that's out there, sometimes that's an ordering issue, but we get to them as soon as we can. Jeremy's pretty good about it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it would be treated no differently than the flag here outside City Hall or different stations. So we have a motion second. Any other discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 13H, discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2024-116. This is for a request for annexations of 3 different parcels from Pine Lake into the city of Rhinelander. So first I want to turn this over to Steve to talk about the process of why it's before council, then it goes to planning, and then what happens there if it keeps getting green lights.
Yeah, so what you have to understand is with an annexation, there's various kinds of annexation. This is an annexation where 100% of the property owners are asking to be annexed. And when you have a petition that 100% of the owners are asking to be annexed, it goes to the city council. The city council's role at this point is to make sure the application is correct. And of course, you probably rely on your administrative staff to do that, and we're telling you we've reviewed that and it is correct. Then it goes to the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission, then their role is to make sure that it fits into the comprehensive plan and that it's not disrupting any of the planning that the Planning Commission has done, and that it fits within what the future plans are. As you know, the city has a comprehensive long-range plan and it has to fit in with that. And how would it fit in? And that's where the public hearing is also held, where the public can come and say, yeah, we think it's really good you bring that property into the city, or we think that's terrible, that's too much of a drain on city resources, whatever people might say, and people can say whatever they want. After the public hearing, then the Planning Commission then approves the annexation. They can modify the annexation by saying, well, we think parcels 1, 2, and 3 should be in, parcel 4, no, that shouldn't be in. And then that ultimately results in a ordinance being drafted, and that ordinance then comes back to the council, because only the council can annex property. The Planning Commission can only recommend or against or for. So even if the council, even if the Planning Commission said, no, we recommend you don't accept this annexation, the people that have applied for annexation, that's why it comes to you first, can still come back to you and say, we don't care what the Planning Commission said, we want you, council, to accept our annexation. So you can override your own Planning Commission. And I'd like to tell you that doesn't happen, but it happens more often than you might believe, especially on annexations, because councils sometimes have different views than planning commissions. But I want you to be cognizant of this is coming back to you again. You're sending it to the Planning Commission, that's where the public hearing is, that's where the public discussion is, and it comes back to you, which is the last kick at the cats, so to speak, by the people that want or don't want annexation. Oh, and you should also understand, I want to point this out to you, which you'll hear again, is remember, if the land is annexed, that does create a liability for the city. The city does have to pay taxes for a period of 5 years back to the town. That's kind of when they gave cities the right to basically take town land. The town doesn't have to agree with this at all. They did put in that provision that says, but the town can recoup the taxes as they existed on the date of annexation. Now, if they build a building and the taxes go way up, we don't have to pay that back to them. We only have to pay what it was on the date of annexation.
Then refer to our city administrator if there's anything you want to add.
No, I'm good.
Mr. Anderson?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-116 in the revised form, accepting the application for the requested annexation of parcels PL 593-4, PL 593-5, and PL 593, and approving it being moved to the Planning Commission for review, public hearing, and recommendation.
Holt, second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Carrie Michalowski.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to 13I, discuss and/or action proposed resolution 2024-117. This is an annexation request from PL 593-3. I refer to our city administrator.
Basically exactly what Steve said, just again. So same thing.
Joe Pack moved to approve resolution number 2024-117, accepting the application for the requested annexation of parcel PL 593-3 and approving it being moved to the Plan Commission for review, a public hearing, and recommendation.
Holt,
Kramer.
second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Mr. Anderson?
I just was wondering why the title insurance policy was included in here. Is that supposed to tell us anything?
Mr. Anderson was referring to a title insurance policy.
Why was it included with this? Because they sent it to us. They made it part of their application. We don't have any right to take their papers and not show them to you. So what they give us, we give it to you.
Under the heading of property description?
Well, and again, if we left it out, they'd say, well, we gave you this, why didn't you show it to the council? Hopefully they don't give us a 50-page, dissertation, but that's why it's there, Gerald. They gave it to us. It was kind of interesting because they also thought they had to pay the taxes in advance, which they really don't. So they want to give us money, too. So this has been an education project for both the Planning Commission and for the public. So we're getting this down. When we get done annexing all of, Pine Lake, we'll have her down by that time. I just said that for some humor in the meeting. Please don't quote me.
I did not say it.
Okay, any other discussion on said motion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Kerry Michalowski.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 13J, discuss and/or action propose Roman dedication. First, I turn this over to our city administrator.
So the reason this wasn't in your packet is the survey closed at 4:30 on Friday. So that's why you have a paper copy of it. But like you asked, or directed, I put this out for a to gather information for what the public wanted. The first question was obviously, are you a Rhinelander, city of Rhinelander resident? And you can see the answer was mostly yes, 3/4 yes. If they answered no, they were moved out because this body only deals with the residents of the city of Rhinelander. The second question asked, do you want to see something renamed for the Roman family? Overwhelmingly, yes, as you can see, that's on the back of page 1. It's a single one right there. The next one was the answers that we received for the question, in your opinion, what area, street, park, etc., should have the name changed to honor this individual family. It was brought up because of George. So we didn't get the response I was hoping for. It was looked at a bunch of times. It wasn't taken a ton of times. So we put this on Facebook. The clerk's office put it on Facebook a couple times. It was on the website. I mean, we talked about this, and I thought we'd get a lot more participation, but we didn't. But basically, the top vote getter there was Deal Plaza, over by the theater downtown here, and then that had 29 votes. Westside Park had 28 votes. Eisenhower Parkway had 20 votes. So, and then a portion of Brown Street was on there that didn't score very well, and and you can see the other remarks down at the bottom if you have your cheaters on. So, but basically, it was the two top vote getters here were the Deal Plaza and Westside Park.
Mr. Anderson?
Where did these categories come from? I'm asking particularly about Zero Plaza. I hadn't heard that mentioned before. It sort of appeals because it's right across from the theater, but how'd that get into the mix?
I don't exactly remember where it came from, but I know it was mentioned at some point. I don't know if it was who it was mentioned by, but I remember that, and I thought, oh, that's a good one because it was real close to that theater. So offered that up as because it's city-owned property. I thought we talked about it actually. I thought we talked about that actually.
So we
did. Yeah, I could have swore we talked about that here.
We don't have to do anything on this tonight, right?
No, we're just kind of looking for direction. Do you just want us to bring it back at the next council meeting, or what would you like us to do? Mr. Kramer?
I think maybe we should narrow it down since we have like the top 3, so we could take that to the next meeting, get a little more, maybe we'll be able to get more feedback from our constituents on what they want of those 3. In mine, I would say Deal Plaza is the ideal place to do it. High traffic, right across from the cinema, right across from the place that the Romans started it all.
So the only caveat with that location is we should probably do some research if that name has to stay based on land being donated to the city at some time, because that might be connected to that, similar to the DeBile Plaza.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's something we could do in the meantime to see if that's plausible. So,
Barnett, I'd like to make a motion to direct city administration to find out if Deal Plaza is even a viable location due to the naming, and coming back to us at the next meeting with more information on the naming rights for that plaza.
Jopek, second.
so got a motion second. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah,
Mr. Luder?
I just have I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Holt.
I just wanted clarification. I agree and would like to get an answer on that, but I think that there's more to be discussed tonight. So making this motion and voting on it does not exclude further discussion on this topic tonight, does it?
Correct. You could continue to discuss and make more motions. Mr. Luter?
Well, I appreciate Mr. Bennett's comments earlier, and I agree that just taking an easy out isn't really doing the family any honor. But my question is, maybe we should just consider maybe doing 2 of these places. We are talking about more than one Roman that was involved in being a benchmark in our community. So, I mean, something like West Side Park and Deal Plaza, if Deal Plaza is a viable location for doing something like that. That was really all I had.
Just to be clear, so the current discussion is on the current motion. So, I mean, your comments are valid, but just going forward for the rest of this, the discussion period right now is based on the motion of finding out more about Deal Plaza and bringing it to the next council meeting. So just make sure we keep that in mind. So I don't know if there's any more discussion on the current motion. Mr. Jopek?
Yeah, I guess I'd express my thoughts on that. I guess I was under the impression that Deal Plaza was owned by a different business or something, and that's why it wasn't necessarily brought up. And so I'm glad to hear that that could be an option. Granted, like you mentioned, that there might be naming rights issues. I also find that Deal Plaza, in this case, would be a good place if we were to establish a plaque, if we were to do a lot more of the historical memory activities that I think will, immortalize is not a word I use very often, but it would make it a more a longer lasting impression, because people who would walk in there and would see, hopefully we'd establish a plaque or something that would read off and explain why it mattered. What is the history here, and why is that there? And I think I think Deal Plaza could be a good place for that if it works out. So I do think we should investigate that and consider it.
Mr. Holt? Okay. With that, any other discussion on the current motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Bob Luter.
Aye.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Kerry Mikulowski.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Mr. Holt, for any other discussion on the topic?
Yeah, I mean, investigating that is great, but I think that ultimately the council still does need to make a decision here. Not necessarily tonight, but we should, it's still going to be on us, regardless of taking more polls and surveys. It's still going to be on us to make a decision. So I wanted to continue the conversation as it stands now on where we're thinking, what we're thinking about. I also didn't really remember the Deal Plaza mentioned before, so I was a little surprised when I saw it here. And it kind of gets to, actually it made me think of it with the first comment down here, saying somewhere people don't really go. It's important, I think, that whatever we do is very visible. And not just visible to people in the community who already know, but this is the hub of the Northwoods. If we really want to honor them, we want to make sure that it's someplace that people who come as vacationers also recognize and see. And I really do like the West Hyde Park idea that you could put memorial there, but that's very much a residential park. It's within a neighborhood, and so in some ways a little bit hidden from that population that I'm trying to give visibility or share that visibility with. Naming a street, yeah, some more, but also not very much. How often do we think about the names of streets other than to get from point A to point B? Whether it's Eisenhower or Roman or Lincoln or Stevens or Brown or any of the other names of people that we don't necessarily think that those streets like Stevens Street or Brown Street are named for individuals important to the town. So that's my comment towards that, is that wherever it is, I want to make sure that that's the consideration. maximum visibility to educate people on who we're honoring and why. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor? I want to warn the council. You're going to really have to establish a policy, first of all, before you do anything. A naming policy. You're going to need to set criteria. You're going to have to have procedure. I mean, once you start naming things, you really need, otherwise you don't have any historical basis, you don't have any legal basis for doing what you're doing. So if you really are wanting to go ahead and name something for someone, I think that you really need to establish a policy saying these are the criteria, these are the things we look at, these are the factors we consider, so that you're setting out a behavior for yourselves that can be defended should anyone come along and say, I don't like what you did. And well, we did it, judiciously. We did it through due process. We did it through a system. We didn't knee-jerk. And that's the only warning as your legal counsel, I would give you. Because once you start on that process, you really want to be able to say, here's the policy of the city of Rhinelander. Many, many cities have policies on naming rights. They're written out. They're easy to go over. We can gather some of those you can look at too, but that's the only caveat I would throw out based on this discussion. You can certainly go ahead and do it, but I'm just saying that's something you should give some thought to.
Mr. Jopek?
Well, with that advice, perhaps we should explore those guidelines, because what I'm hearing in all of our discussion and from public comment is that there are a few criteria that individuals have. I have my own personally, like I've set like, what do I think is better and what's best, whatever. Perhaps I don't want to say table this, because I'm not trying to push it off further, but to make sure we do it as the city attorney said, judiciously and in an appropriate manner. We establish what those criteria are, so that when we do make this decision, we can all look at it and agree to those criteria. Because I think, one, we'll find a lot of commonality between all of us, but we'll also find the outliers that will, I don't want to say weed out, but it will separate what we want from what we don't want. Because I think there is a lot of that present. So that would be my recommendation, would be to pursue that rather than further exploring beyond the deal street, like trying to figure that out. But
I mean, Patrick, is that something you think in a meeting or two you could research other communities and come back with some examples?
Absolutely. The only question I was going to ask, and Steve, just wondering, is it ordinance or policy? It is policy, you say?
Well, it starts as policy, but you can certainly make it into an ordinance.
Okay, because I did a little bit of research on this very early on. I thought I saw some ordinances, but memory could be faulty on that one.
Yeah, the key is you have to have standards. You have to have something. Otherwise, you get 8 new people and you're going to have 8 new reasons, and that's not what you want. You want something that's consistent, because this is something you're doing for a long period of time. This isn't something you're doing for a week. So that's the only reason I give you that caveat.
Mr. Barnett?
I'm listening to what you're saying and all that, and I think that is a very good point, to have an actual criteria to meet, to have something named in your name, which I'm sure Roman will, mark every box. But I think that, I guess what I'm asking is, do I need to amend my motion to have that caveat in there, or no, we're good?
No,
I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that motion's technically closed. So
okay.
that was just on the Deal Plaza concept, looking at the legality.
Yeah, but I'd be in favor of having something actually in writing saying you have to meet these criterias to get something named.
I'll do my best to bring back something post-haste.
No, I was just going to ask if we needed to make a motion regarding that same thing, so.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
Mr. Holt?
Well, I was going to go ahead and make that motion, but if nobody wants it, then.
Your call.
Do it anyway.
I will go ahead and make a motion to direct the city administrator, Patrick Reagan to investigate. We are asking him to do work on the city's dime, so I think it should be documented. To investigate policies with regard to naming conventions that other like-minded communities may have in either policy or ordinance.
Joe Pike, second.
Motion second. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Luke Kramer.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Bob Luder.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Was there any other motions or discussion on this topic? Not seeing. Moving on to 13K, discuss and/or action firework display in the city of Rhinelander. This was brought up by Mr. Barnett, so I'll turn it over to you first.
Yeah, I was watching the, obviously the Facebook feeds and stuff like that after the BMX had their fireworks display, which was approved by us. That's not the issue. But I did see a lot of people in that residential neighborhood while it was actually going on, and the next day wondering, what was going on. They had no idea that fireworks were going, why they were going off. I think we covered it pretty well in the press and the newspaper and everything, but I asked the mayor to add this to the agenda more so. I'm curious about what your thoughts are as my fellow alder people. Would it be prudent for us to put a stipulation in future firework requests that the people putting on the fireworks notify the nearby residents? Do we have like a certain perimeter that we notify them personally through, I don't know, door hangers, or having the event holders actually make sure that their neighbors know exactly what's going on? Or is this was just, we did our due diligence and put it out there? It's really, I'm just curious at your guys' thoughts.
Mr. Jopek?
I recall when we approved the fireworks display that we had asked to make sure that the posts were made and that the community was notified. And so on those grounds, I do think we did our due diligence and we did discuss it in public, in public in an open session. The idea of the party responsible going about notifying people would be great in pie in the sky world, but then it'd be hard to enforce. And so I do think that what we did was suitable. And this isn't the first time that a communication has been made by the city that people didn't get and people didn't receive. And at some point, I say this with my students, I can give you all of the information, I can put up the lecture slides, I can do all those things, but at some point you have to make the effort to download it. You have to make the effort to engage with it. And so I think as long as we hold to that and we weigh each situation equally, we're doing our part as the city government.
Mr. Holt?
Yeah, as somebody who lives over there and was part of actually voting on that, and then when it happened, utterly unprepared, and my whole family was unprepared, and we're all like, what is going on? What it made me think of first, and I respect what Stephen's saying with regard to, I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I think that we did our due diligence, we did advertise it. However, also, we have a very large veteran community up here, for one, and I'm not saying that we didn't do a good enough job, and I'm not saying that it isn't other individuals' responsibility. Everyone knows what to expect when it's around the 4th of July. So I do think it's a worthwhile point that Tom raises to think about it, and that the next time this comes up, to really think about, are there more ways we can advertise it, get the word out? Or is there more that we could do so that it's not, so we have the greatest chance of not having anybody blindsided, whether they have forgot 140-pound German shepherds that go crazy when something happens, or like in my case, or have a pass that a sudden and off code or off script, you know, as again thinking back to you expect it in early July, might you know cause distress, and so I don't have an answer to that. I just wanted to voice that I think it was a worthwhile thing to bring up, and that the next time we have something like that that somebody wants to do, maybe just give some time to think about creatively what more can we do. Thanks.
Mr. Barnett?
First of all, I wanted to thank Alderperson Holt, because I feel like you got the gist of what I was going for, and I appreciate the acknowledgement that you understood my points. I agree with Mr. Jopek as well. I feel that we did do our due diligence. I feel that we definitely notified as many people as we possibly could. But like David took away from my request here, it is a curiosity thing of can we do something a little bit more to make sure, because of the situation with the fireworks and our vets and animals, and people out there have a lot of concerns about it. I feel like the student analogy, I hope wasn't about Tony, but because he better download things. But no, I appreciate Mr. Jopek's thoughts on it as well, because I'm kind of in agreement with both of them at this point.
Mr. Jopek?
I actually had this thought as Mr. Holt was speaking, and it kind of came back to the accountability of the party that is responsible for the fireworks. This will probably be about the fee schedule at that point, and so we probably can't do that now, and I don't know. But perhaps we consider, I don't know how you do it, again, to be creative, but part of the fee for the permit for firing the fireworks out of season, right, would be to cover the cost that the city would incur to make sure letters are sent to homes in the area. And in that way, it would allow for the responsible party to share in the enforcement and the notification while the city's not eating the cost up front. Perhaps that could be like a kind of, that might be too much, I get that, and that's part of where the enforcement side of this gets a little hairy, but I'm worried about cost to the city and also like timely notification.
I think it's a concept, but I think it'd be a hard one to put a fee on, because if I'm at Menards shooting off fireworks, the amount of people I have to notify versus Mr. Holt is what, probably a mile as a crow flies away from West Side Park, and there's probably 700 homes between you and there, so that fee would be dramatically different based on location. So Luder?
Just so we're clear, I mean, we are talking about a one-off situation, right? I mean, do we regularly do fireworks displays other than the 4th of July?
Lights to the Northwoods would be a common one.
So could it be something as simple as when we review the next application that we put the stipulation in that they have to notify Channel 12 and do a press release to both of the newspapers, so that not only is it covered on social media, but it's covered visually as well as via the media? I mean, then nobody's incurring any cost, because all those things are free to the person who's filling out the application. The city doesn't, it's not on the city then at that point to do that type of follow-up.
True. Ms. Michalowski?
Yeah, that was going to be my suggestion, is just to do a press release, possibly, because it is free, you know, just putting the notice out there, so.
True. Mr. Jopek?
In the event that they don't do that, and then the fireworks go off, what's the, like, I agree, I think that's a great idea. What's the, I guess, the backside of that in the event that the responsible party doesn't do what they're asked to do?
Well, I think they were referring to city would do that as a press release.
Oh, we would?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Did we
the
not
only time that might get a little gray is if it's a nonprofit or a group doing it versus Johnny who lights fireworks. You know, that might be a little different. I don't know if they would do that as a free press release, but that's something we could look at if it comes forward.
Well, I just like to say that, you know, I understand sending out the letters. It sounds great. I already have a clerk's office that's, you know, swimming in work. Adding one more thing. So I know it sounds really cool, but in all actuality, it's another undertaking that they'll have to do. A press release, Facebook, website. If we can get it on radio, great. These are the things that we need to do. But I mean, there's obviously a cost involved as well, and it'll be a high cost.
My request or my suggestion was putting that on the applicant. Like, make that part of the stipulation. You need to do these things. I mean, we'll be able to police that because I'm pretty sure there's at least a couple of us that read the newspapers or watch the news. I mean, somebody will be able to police that.
I mean, for a lot of press releases the clerk's office does send out, I do look at the news mediums on whether or not they post those, and unless you are paying to put it in the legal section, and most of us aren't reading the legal section in the newspaper, it's up to them of whether or not they post it. So I mean, I've sent out a lot of press releases, but it's up to those news programs of whether or not they actually put that out to the public as well.
Mr. Barnett?
Yeah, I that was my thinking as well, that although I'm sure Austin could squeeze it in somewhere, we could, I would rather have the stipulation put on the event holder if we were to go that route, so it's not more work on the city and taxpayers, and or if we even need to do anything at all. Like I said, this was just a discussion thing that I wanted to get your guys' vibe on, but if you feel it's a good thing to maybe really look at how we okay a fireworks permit, strictly based on the notification of people who may be affected by the louder noises outside of the 4th of July season, then I'm all for that as well. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it.
Okay, any direction or motions want to be taken on this topic? Okay. Moving on to 14, communications. I refer to our city administrator.
Received a letter from Michael Cheslock about the Messer Street project that's included in your packet.
Any discussion on that? Okay, not seeing. Moving on to number 15, future agenda items. I say we should probably add the Roman renaming as a concept, or just as a placeholder. Was there anything else anyone would like to add to future agenda items? Okay, not seeing. Our next regular council meeting will be September 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. and it'll be chaired by Ms. Michalowski, so best of luck. With that, it is 7:17, meeting adjourned.